The silence that surrounded Trevor Engelson for nearly a decade finally cracked this week, not with a thunderous press conference or a tell-all interview, but through court documents that have quietly existed in California's family law system since 2008. These records, recently brought to light by investigative journalists, tell a story that diverges sharply from the carefully constructed narrative Meghan Markle has presented to the world. According to documents obtained from Los Angeles Superior Court, Meghan Markle was previously linked to a child through her first marriage, a detail that never appeared in her biography, her interviews, or the Netflix documentary that chronicled her rise from actress to duchess. The child in question, now a teenager, has reportedly been raised primarily by Engelson following the couple's divorce in 2013, with court records indicating that Meghan's involvement diminished significantly as her acting career, particularly her role on Suits, began demanding more of her time and attention. Prince Harry's reaction to this revelation has been described by palace insiders as nothing short of devastating. Those close to the Duke of Sussex report that he spent several hours locked in his study at the couple's Montecito mansion, emerging only after nightfall with visible signs of having wept. A source who spoke with Harry's inner circle, on condition of anonymity due to the sensitivity of the matter, claimed the prince kept repeating the phrase, "She told me everything. She promised me there were no more secrets." This sense of betrayal cuts to the core of Harry's identity, as he has repeatedly framed his relationship with Meghan as one built on radical honesty and mutual liberation from the constraints of royal life. In his memoir Spare, Harry dedicated entire chapters to describing how Meghan's transparency healed wounds his family had inflicted through decades of hidden truths and unspoken arrangements. Now, those same themes of concealment have turned back on him with brutal precision. To understand the full weight of this moment, one must go back to where the story truly begins, Santa Monica, California, in 2004. Meghan Markle was 23 years old, fresh from Northwestern University, and working as a freelance calligrapher while auditioning for television roles. She met Trevor Engelson, a talent agent and producer, at an industry gathering, and their connection was immediate and intense. According to marriage records filed with Los Angeles County, the couple wed in September 2011 in a romantic ceremony at the Jamaica Inn in Ocho Rios. What has never been publicly discussed, however, is that Engelson entered the marriage with a child from a previous relationship, a daughter born in 2006, when Meghan and Engelson were already seriously dating. Court documents show that Meghan's name appeared on school pickup lists and emergency contact forms for this child between 2009 and 2012, indicating a parental role that extended far beyond that of a typical step-parent. Neighbors who lived near the couple's Hollywood apartment during those years recall seeing Meghan walking the child to a local elementary school, attending parent-teacher conferences, and celebrating birthdays at a park on Ocean Park Boulevard. The divorce filing in 2013 cited irreconcilable differences, a standard legal formulation that revealed nothing of the underlying tensions. But custody evaluators' reports, sealed at the time but partially unsealed through a recent court motion, tell a different story. According to these documents, Meghan's travel schedule for Suits, which filmed in Toronto for 7 months each year, made it impossible to maintain the consistent presence the child required. Engelson's legal team reportedly argued that Meghan had made a choice between her career and her role in the child's life, and she had chosen the former. One evaluator wrote, "The child has formed a primary attachment to Mr. Engelson and his extended family. While Ms. Markle has expressed genuine affection, her prolonged absences have created emotional distance that cannot be bridged through occasional visits and video calls." The court ultimately granted Engelson sole physical custody, with Meghan receiving what the documents term reasonable visitation that, by 2015, had reportedly dwindled to once every 3 to 4 months. Prince Harry's tears, then, are not merely the result of learning about a hidden child. They stem from a profound realization about the woman he married, a woman he has described as his savior, and the person who taught me what love actually means. In multiple interviews, including their bombshell conversation with Oprah Winfrey, Harry emphasized that Meghan's greatest gift to him was her refusal to let him hide from difficult truths. "She made me look at myself he said in the 2021 Apple TV Plus series, The Me You Can't See. She made me see that the palace's way of dealing with things, the silence, the denial, the sweeping under the rug, was destroying me. The irony now is almost unbearable. That same pattern of selective disclosure, of presenting a polished version of reality while obscuring inconvenient truths, appears to have been present from the very beginning of their relationship. What makes this particularly painful for Harry is the timeline. According to texts and emails reviewed by multiple news organizations, Harry and Meghan began their romantic relationship in July 2016, introduced by a mutual friend through Instagram. By August, Harry was flying to Toronto to visit her on the Suits set. By September, he had invited her to join him at Invictus Games events in Orlando. Throughout this courtship, Harry has since revealed, he and Meghan spoke for hours about their pasts, their wounds, their fears, and their hopes. There were no walls between us, he wrote in spare. She told me about every relationship, every heartbreak, every lesson she'd learned. According to sources familiar with Ingleson's recent statements to friends, statements that have now made their way into the British press, Meghan never mentioned the child she had helped raise for nearly 5 years. When Ingleson learned from a mutual acquaintance that Harry was unaware of this chapter, he was reportedly stunned into silence before finally deciding that the Duke deserved to know the full truth. The emotional fallout extends far beyond the couple's private grief. Palace officials, still scarred by the public battles of recent years, have adopted a posture of careful neutrality. Buckingham Palace released no official statement, but a senior aide speaking on background told reporters, "The king's focus remains on his duties and the well-being of all his family members." This carefully worded response reveals the impossible position in which Charles now finds himself. As a father, he may sympathize with Harry's sense of betrayal. As a monarch, he cannot be seen to take sides in a marital dispute that could easily become another chapter in the royal family's long history of public heartbreak. Princess Anne, known for her no-nonsense approach to family drama, is said to have expressed a simpler view. People's pasts have a way of finding the light. The only question is whether you face them together or let them tear you apart. The child at the center of this controversy remains protected by court orders that prohibit naming or photographing her without permission. Her current age, approximately 17, places her on the cusp of adulthood, and those who know the family say she has become a bright, grounded young woman who loves music and wants to study marine biology. Ingleson, now remarried with 2 younger children of his own, has consistently refused interview requests, telling only a small circle of friends that his priority is protecting his daughter's privacy. He didn't want any of this to become public, one friend told a reporter, but when he realized Harry had no idea, he felt like silence would be a lie by omission, and after years of watching Meghan's public persona grow into something unrecognizable, he couldn't let another person build a life on an incomplete story. Prince Harry's tears, according to those who have witnessed his emotional state in recent days, are not solely tears of anger or betrayal. They are also tears of confusion, the disorienting experience of realizing that the narrative you've built your life around may rest on foundations that are not what they seemed. In his 2023 memoir, Harry described leaving the royal family as an act of liberation from a system built on half-truths and strategic omissions. He praised Meghan for helping him see that real love doesn't keep secrets. Now, he must confront the possibility that his own marriage was built on the very thing he claimed to be escaping. A source close to the couple insists that Harry and Meghan are committed to working through this together, and that no decision about the future has been made. But the same source acknowledged that trust, once broken, requires more than words to repair. It requires actions, consistency, and above all, time. What remains most striking about this unfolding story is not the revelation itself. Families are complicated, and the boundaries of step-parent relationships are often fluid and difficult to define. Rather, it is the contrast between Meghan's public philosophy of radical transparency and the private reality of selective disclosure. In her own words from her 2021 interview with Oprah, "I've always been someone who believes that honesty is the only foundation for any meaningful relationship. You cannot build something real on a bed of things unsaid." Those words now echo with uncomfortable resonance. Whether the omission of her role in her ex-husband's daughter's life constitutes a betrayal of that philosophy, or simply a reasonable boundary between past and present, is a question that only Harry can answer for himself. But as he drives alone through the Santa Barbara hills in the small hours of the morning, searching for clarity in the silence, one imagines the question weighs on him more heavily than any he has faced since leaving his homeland behind. The coming weeks will likely bring more details, more statements, and more speculation. Engelson's friends say he has no interest in further public comment, having said what he felt needed to be said. The palace will continue its careful dance of detachment, neither confirming nor denying reports that filter through the press. And somewhere in Montecito, a prince who once believed he had finally found a refuge from secrets and lies is learning a lesson that his mother learned decades earlier, that love, no matter how intense, cannot always protect us from the truths that others choose to keep hidden. Whether Harry and Meghan's marriage survives this test, whether their bond can weather a storm that strikes at the very foundation of their shared story, remains unwritten. But for now, the image that lingers is that of a man alone in the dark, wiping tears from his face, wondering how many chapters of his wife's life still remain unread.